Another very popular question is, Dato Seri, will Malaysia be able to move forward beyond political wars and focus on the bigger issues, ensuring a mature political climate in Malaysia? And if I was to add to that, I'd also say, what would you do particularly if you were Prime Minister to help aid that and facilitate that?
Well, firstly, we are not stuck to purely political issues. You look at the performance in Parliament and outside Parliament. We talk about public health issues. Yesterday, I issued a statement with Dr. Boon Chai on the need to increase allocation and disbursement in the health facilities to combat COVID-19 and also to enhance. It's not just COVID-19. I gave the statement in Parliament, for example, on the issue of cancer treatment. Generally, the poor has to wait 6 months to get the treatment. This was said by the president of the Cancer Society. Therefore, we felt it was necessary. There is a huge debate on education, on economic policy, of course. The economic policy and economic initiative was the prime issue raised by members of Parliament and us in this recent debate. Even in terms of our arrangement and settlement with 1MDB and with Goldman Sachs became an issue. So it is not just purely political, because it is also political because the way the government is handling the issues, appointing people in JLCs. I say, look, there are 1 million towards the end of the year going to be unemployed, some very educated professionals, some very competent professionals, and yet you appoint some MPs who are probably with some fake degrees to lead some important ministries or JLCs. That's it. Number two, given a chance as Prime Minister, I think we have to get back on track on issue governance, on issue reform, and also healing. You see, the country, after all these rancorous and exchanges and enmity between political leaders, people tend to assume once I'm in government, the opposition will go back to jail, to Sungai Buloh. And then you go back to to form the government, then I go back to Sungai Buloh. But this has to end. We have gone through this exercise for the last more than 2 decades of this oppression and threats against opposition leaders and political dissent. Now, some of the youngest guys have forgotten this. This is not something new. The issue of repression and political oppression against political opponents have been going on, and this has to stop. It's time that the country need to heal and go back to institutional reform so that people do have full confidence in the issue of governance and the strength, integrity, and independence of institutions and a free media. So I think I'm bound to do that. And of course, it's my favorite subject on the issue of poverty, of inequality, will be the major drive forward. But prior to all this, the economy remains the fundamental. We must refocus on the economy to attract domestic investments and foreign investments, new areas like digital technology, agriculture, enhance the quality of education. But these are issues that we have to address.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I must announce in a bittersweet fashion that this is actually the end of the Q&A. I'd like to express our deepest appreciations on behalf of UKC to our opening keynote, YB Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Further, to our audience, despite being unable to see any of you, your questions have made this a lively and enthralling session. And for that, we at UKC are very grateful. I now pass back the virtual mic to Dalil, our MC for the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Dato Seri and also Ismat for that very insightful and excellent discussion that we had earlier. Now, before we end, we'd like to invite Dato Seri and also Ismat for a short photography session where my colleague here will then snapshot the screen right here. Cheese.